Hi. New game. Alright, so let's cycle through numbers and see what we can accomplish, if anything. So I see these two, and here's a 1, so that's cool. And then that gives us 2 in that column, which is nice. The entire first column is taken, so that's good. But we're going to move on, I think. There's a lot taken care of for 2, so we can just put a 2 here. And then after that, there's literally only 1 out of 2. So that was easy. That's impossible. This one has most of them in that, but the problem is there are too many spaces where they could be to make it a solid answer. So we have to skip that. However, if I were to think about the number 4, it can go here only. So there's that. And then we only have these 2 spaces over here. And we could do the whole gambit. Well, really, it's just here. So that takes care of that. And then there's just up here and down there. And then this one's just here and there. And then we have here and there. And there and there and there. And there, obviously. But that's it. So when considering the vertical or the horizontal, there isn't any outliers. So that's great. Moving on. 3 is just, I'm not even going to start on 3 because there's like here, there, and there, and then the rest is like, don't even get me started. It's all over the place. So let's go to 5. Okay. Most rows are taken except for we got the top row. And it would be this one, that one. And then the other one is these 3 spaces. And then these 3 spaces. So that doesn't give us a lot of options there. Might as well do the bottom, which includes this one. And that's it. That's pretty much it. There you go. That's it. That's done. Then we have every space is considered except for this one, so that's done. And then we have on the bottom 2 spaces. We have this column and here. Because the other block on the top can't do that column, or can it? Ah, that's a falsehood. So that's helpful, or I should say not helpful. But whatever, we'll move on. Holy crap. Doubtful, however, we only have 1 space for a 7 in this block, and that's helpful. I like that. Also, if we do vertical check, it's this one. And then if I do another check, we have here, there, and there for that block. And then we have just there, but then all of this could be, that's not what I'm doing. Okay. I actually like the vibration feedback because it makes you know things changed definitely. Okay, so it has to be up here in that block. That's cool. And then we have this one's the only one remaining. So that's nice too. And then we have the rest of them, which there's not a lot to do about that, except for on this one block, we have here and there. So we're stuck. Move on to the next number. Okay, 8 in this bottom, which means 8 here is the only 8 possible in that block. We'll just put it in. And then we have here, there, and there. So that's it. And then we have down here, we have these two, and then up here, if those ones, this two, this one, and pretty much that's it for that block, because all other blocks are considered, so that's easy. And then the other one is here, so that's just not right. Damn it. But that's fine. We end up with only one position for this block, and then we have the double for the other ones, and that's it. So we can move on. There's nothing else to glean from this as of yet. 9 is insane. A is possible, because we got 1 here. We have these 2 and that. Then we have this one, and that's the only one in that block, so that's helpful. Then we have to do one in this column, so we have those 2 positions. Then we have this, and these 2, so that makes it less likely to be sure. And those. And then this one, but that's the only one in that block, so that's helpful, but not helpful enough. But that's good. And then we have to consider the one block, which is on the side. Everywhere else is taken. Considering the horizontal, we only see this. Shut up. That one. So that's taken care of. Nice. Moving on to B. It would seem that there has to be a B here. That's easy. And then the B is there. The B is there. That's just, B is basically solved with 2 exceptions, here and here. Okay, so then we have C, which can go here and here. It cannot go there in the other block, so it must go here. And then in the other block, it can only go on the top. This game has a weird glitch where it doesn't allow me to place the C there, so we're just going to place the C there manually. I don't know why the top block has a thing, but we've gone past that, so that's actually a very good thing. And then we'll say C, and we'll put it there and there. And then in this one, it's there and there. And here, because that vertical is also possible, I guess. And then here, there, and there. Because nothing can be easy. We also have these ones. I forgot about this block. And this one. So that's a lot of unsure stuff about all of that. And that's fine. We can move on to another one. See what we can do with D. D is deceptive because it's these 2, and then you have these ones, but then, like, when you go here, you have those few spaces. So, but this is the one that is definitely that. So there you go. And that removes a lot. That's why it's deceptive. But that's fine. And then we have to have one on the bottom. Can we have another one on the bottom? Unfortunately, yes. Can we have another one on the top, however? No. So that means this one must be the bottom D. And then we just don't know where the other one is, considering all the other positions that it could be. Now we have to consider the top, which is there. And then we have this block and that one. Since we can't put it on the side, it must be on the side in this block. So that takes care of that. Then we consider the last one, which is here. And that gives us another double that we can't resolve. So we have to move on. That's not bad. E is, like, I really should just place all the E's in the positions that they could be, but here's an E. We just solved it. And then this one's a little bit more information. And it's the top, it's this bottom, it's this other top, it's ZZ top, and the middle. So because that's only the middle, we're going to ignore the idea. It's literally the only place that E could go in any of the middle. So there you have it. And then there's an E up here, which makes it more likely that it's that instead of the other one. Actually, it has to be that, so that removes it even more. And therefore, we have an E here. There you go. Didn't even have to look anywhere else. That block solves it for us. Then, because we know it has to be on the far side, we can only put potential E's here. And then also, because of this and that and that and this and that and that and this and that, we have way too much information and can't resolve, which is fine. That happens. However, if I consider the vertical, I'm still not getting any other answers, so we move on to F. F has this one, that one, this one, and that one. I didn't place it. That's fine. Then we have these two. We also have the top. We also have this one. And then we have these two above it. So that doesn't help. Or it's the most help. We have those three positions, and then in this block we only have these two positions. So that means in this block it should be there. There is no other place it can be. Except for here, perhaps. But then if we consider this place and that place, and then we consider the top also here, no, not there, not there, this one, and that one there, not there. Okay, so we got those two odd positions. And of the vertical, I'm not seeing another place it can be on that position. So it must be here. So that's cool. And then, all other things considered, it must be here. And then if all else is blocked, it must be here. And then we have those two spots, which correspond with the bottom spots, which correspond with too many other positions. But that's interesting. Moving on to G, and then we'll cycle again. See what we got. We have these two on the bottom, and then we have these two on that block. We have this one. Sorry, this one is the only one in that block. So that's that G. Done. And then guess where the only other place you can put a G is that. So we only have those too binary. It can't be simple. So then we look at a 1 again, and we reconsider the ones. We have this 1 and that 1 on the side. That can't be. All other considerations of the vertical means we have to use there. That was actually not true. God dang it. There was another one within that block. It could have been. So we just got a freebie. Moving on. We have this one. Like it could have been here, is what I'm saying. And if you saw that indicator, good for you. So now we only have this one and that one. So that's kind of easy. And then those ones force it to be here. So that's easy. And then 1 is almost solved. Why isn't it solved? Because it could be this one and that one. And it could be this one and that one. So those are the remaining parts. And so there are no more 2's. We're moving on to 3, which was a weird number. And next to impossible to consider, but we have so much filled that it doesn't seem to make sense not to just type it all in now. Which is a lot to type in, but with the dots, it's easy. The dippy. So we'll just write all that down, remove that, put these in, put those in. See, that's why I didn't want to do it, is because there's just so many options. And then the vertical, the entire here, which really means if you can't put it, oh, okay, you could put it there and you can put it there. But if the only place you can put it here is there, then you can't put it here. You must put it here. So that's solved. And then other such quandaries equal the bottom a lot in this block down here. There's just a lot of options for 3 there, but that doesn't mean anything. And everything else is weird, so we move on. And now we consider 4 again. Is there anything that strikes us as useful? And for example, in this position, there seems to not be anything there that is 100% there. So that's something. Got some kind of nasal thing going on. It's not great. Okay, hold on. Yeah, hold on. If we look at, no, never mind. Those 2 spots here and there, I just noticed. So we can't do anything else with that. It looks like the problem is I don't have a lot of these labeled, so I don't know all the different potentials. But it looks like we have a 5 up top. That must be where it is. And then that, scroll down, we see 1, 5 here. That's helpful. That's just another space we don't have to consider later on. Moving on to 6 again. 6 again. We don't have any 6's labeled, so that sucks. So let's label them. There's these 2, which forces the other one to be here somewhere. And then this really forces it in that block. And there. So that's more obvious than you would have hoped. That's good. Oh. Yeah. Okay, so then we have, I don't like when he calls me brother. If the top is considered, it could also be here And then there's the side. So that's a thing. And in the vertical, we have these, so that doesn't help. And then we have those two. And then we have these two. So then blah 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 blah. Everything looks random and different and not labeled. And then on the side, on the top, and this one, and that one, and these two, three, sorry. And then that block's already taken. Move on to 7. What could be in that block? We could probably analyze it. Let's do a quick search. Because we have 5 and 8 in the other blocks. What's the last digit? We can just find that real quick. It's not 5. It's not 6. 8. It's 9. Okay, so that's a 9. That's an easy way of knowing that. We don't have 9s labeled, so let's do 9. I don't know why we don't have it labeled. We would have gone through the whole gambit of possible things, but now we have... What do you mean that's not where it goes? Because it goes here, obviously. Ugh, labels. Just place the labels for now. Yeah, dang. But now we have a lot less that we need to label because there's like all that to consider, and that means stop it. It's there. And then if it can only be in there, then it has to be here. And if it... We don't know. But then if we consider this block, it's there and there and there. And it's here and here and there. And then it's here and here and there. Wait, that's the only block, so that's taken care of. And then we have that top side, which is this, this, and this. And then it's that. It's only that. Forces this. That is wrong. It's here. So that for... Fucking... I'm sorry. It goes there. And we just put the 7 there, might as well. And then the 7 must be here. 7. How is it not there? Because it's there. Oh my god. I hate making just stupid quick mistakes. Must be full of those by now. Okay, if I consider the 3, I just hoped that this is the... Like, I don't have them all labeled, so they're not properly... That's fucked up. Then I don't have a label for that. Which means it goes... Fuck off. Which means it goes here. And then we have a 5, and we hope it's here. No, what the fuck? That's a 6. And also, we don't know. But it could be there. It seems like it's there. This is why labeling, you gotta really do it all perfect, or you're gonna make mistakes like, what the hell is this? It's an E, I guess. And that can be fucked. That can be not confirmed because, well, the other one has to be 4, and there can't be a 4 in that column, so that is confirmed. But then what is that last digit? I don't know. It's a 3. How the hell do I not have 3s labeled correctly? I don't know. Also, that's a 3. That's a 3. That's a 3. What the fuck? Uh, uh, well, D&D was alright, and laser tag, yeah, yeah.